Hello everyone, Mr. Happy Zap here. Update on the humble Abode build. This is the video I've been meaning to make for some time, and the reason that I'm doing these videos is to actually trying to see how we can make our homes as energy efficient as possible while keeping the cost down. Now, of course, I built a hybrid wall here. It's definitely not a conventional wall. In my area, for insulation purposes, minimum of 2x6 outside walls, and actually all you really need is a 2x4 wall for structural support. But due to the fact you need here in my region now an R29 wall, and so they figure, and once again when they do their heat loss, they have packages and whatnot, and they figure out what type of materials they're going to use to get an R29 factor for insulation purposes. So 2x6 wall with your OSB, plywood, whatever you put on the outside sheathing, and 1 inch of whatever foam board you're using. I'm using here the foam board, as I explained before, a breathable foam board. And reason for that, once again, we have to have a continuous insulation barrier, if you want to call it, around the entire envelope from the sill plate right up to basically the eaves. So, once again, I explained that, and they're trying to achieve it with that, but I don't think it's enough. Now, 2x6 walls, normally they do that, and then they just stick in bats, whether it's rock wool, pink, John Mansville, whatever type they stick in there, and with the 1 inch of foam on the outside, which is R5, they figure with the your drywall and your OSB, plywood, whatever, and that R22 bat gives you, in my area, would give you an R29 factor. Problem is you have what they call thermal bridging across the studs from the inside to the outside OSB, and you have heat loss through every doggone stud, the entire length of the stud. You have heat loss, okay, up top in the plates, of course, and you have, thermal bridging, and you also have it in your bottom plate. And they're figuring with this foam board on the outside, that should alleviate some of the thermal bridging across there, but that's about the best you can do. Now, the next step would be 2x6 walls, splash it with about 1.5 to 2 inches of foam, and then finish it off with actual bat. Problem is, you still have that thermal bridging from the inside to the outside here, but you have gained a massive sealing capabilities there to keep out air infiltration. 2 inches of foam, also 2 inches of 2-pound foam, not the open cell, the closed cell foam, will act as also a vapor barrier. Now, a lot of people just put in 1 inch and then they add the bats in, and they still have to put on a vapor barrier, a plastic vapor barrier. Problem is here you've sealed the wood. The only place that actually moisture can actually transfer through the outside, in other words, keeping the outside this dry and keeping the wood dry, is through the studs. That's what they call kind of a vapor transfer or whatever. So that, once again, you still have to put your vapor barrier on the inside here, make sure it's well sealed and all that lovely stuff. Now the next step is if you want to use what they call SIPs, or structural insulated panels. They're the OSB inside and outside, and let me just kind of go over here for a second, using once again using about 5.5 inches of open cell foam in between to give you an R, I think they factored in an R20 or R29 insulation value, but once again it's open cell, so therefore it's not classed as a vapor barrier. Okay, so it's still basically breathable, and good concept. Only problem is that you're relying on the foam sticking to the of course it's not the foam, but sticking to the outside of the OSB and the inside of the OSB, and hopefully that entire what do you call it, the entire board, your 4x8 sheet, whatever it may be, 4x9 on your wall, you're hoping that adhesion and the OSB on the outside, OSB on the inside is enough to hold it up structurally. Now, sure, they've done their testing and whatnot, and it's all passed and everything, but I just was not comfortable with only having, when they channel out the foam on, you only having 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches up top, basically, your top and bottom plate screwed it into the OSB as a structural support. I just wasn't, how can I put it, satisfied with that. At the same time, getting mechanical in there would be a nightmare. You can look up, go on YouTube, look up SIPs, and you'll find the logistics for mechanical is just, like I said, a nightmare. So I came up with this design. It's not a staggered stud, but you could call it staggered stud. And what I did is it's engineered. I had my engineer take it, my idea, and he stamped it. And what I've done is I've got 2 top and bottom plates, are 2x8. I've taken regular 2x4, which is for the structural support on the inside, and on the outside, regular on the outside, I've laid them on the 2x4s on the flat, 24-inch on center, on the inside 16-inch on center. So what that gives me is a minimum of 2¼ inches in between the outside studs and the inside studs. So when I fill this with actual foam, I'm going to be filling it with 5½ inches of foam. It'll literally adhere the. I'm not using the foam and the OSB structure. We're using the actual board, the 2x4 as a structure, inside and out, but also there'll be no thermal transfer anywhere through the entire system other than where I actually put large long screws through to tie in the outside to the inside. And they're 5½ inches long. They're large screws. I usually use them for decks. So I've gone all the way along and I've put them, I know it's a little bit dark here, but I put them in various locations so that it kind of connects the outside of the wall to the inside and makes it good and solid. Now with the 5½ inches of foam in there connecting it, this will be a wall that it'll be almost bulletproof, quiet. There'll still be about 2 inches, 2 or so inches, ½ inches of actual airspace in here, which will keep it quiet. But the big thing is mechanical. As you can see here, I'm going to show it. Hopefully I can get this down here for you. Okay, if you look down through there, as you can see, there's no connection to the outside wall to the inside wall all the way from one end to the other. Hopefully you can see that, guys. And what also allows to do is, for your electrical especially, just bring wires along. You don't have to do any drilling and whatnot. The corners here, they're open all the way around. There's my, how do we see here? Down. Move my fingers. See my fingers right there? Okay, maybe I'll come around this way. Maybe it shows it better. Nope, can't get around there. But the corners, everything, once it's foamed in, nothing touches the inside or the outside. Now that's the electrical part of it. Makes it nice and easy. Sure, you have to drill up through the top plate and or the bottom plate to facilitate that. Make sure to caulk the holes so that there's no air infiltration for vapor barrier scenario, keep the vapor barrier, but also for plumbing. So here I have my one vent stack for my one sink, and I didn't have to drill any holes. My 1.5-inch pipe fit beautifully, okay, in between my fittings, in between the actual inside and outside studs, making it really easy to do the mechanical. These things really have facilitated the fact that I can make this entire little house here. I'm trying to get to go down there once again to make it energy efficient while keeping the costs in line. So the SIPs, okay, which you would still have to put the 1 inch of foam board on the outside, and you still would have to put the actual vapor barrier 6 mil poly on the inside. You're looking at between $650 to $750 a square foot for a 6-inch wall. Well, the wall structure here, and I'm just talking about the outside wall, with the inch of foam, and I include the drywall on top of this, the spray foam, 5½ inches of spray foam. I'm looking at around $625 a square foot. So that includes drywall, insulation, foam board on the outside, everything, and the mechanical, so much easier. So if you get trades in here with SIPs, it's very labor intensive, and that just adds to the cost. Okay, I feel that this is much more structurally sound. So I'm going to be spray foaming, and also, I don't know if you can see up here, I have my rafter mates coming from the bottom. I've got them all sealed coming up. I'll actually be spray foaming to nearly the top of the rafter mates, and that'll totally seal that. No air, the air will actually go up in the through the rafter mate where it's supposed to, and the insulation, that'll seal that up really well, and no infiltration will get in there. Normally all they do is they just stick bats up in there, and then if the wind comes through, because a lot of them here, well, I can't really tell, I don't know if you can tell there, I really can't, but up in here I put the rafter mate out on top, and then I filled in the cavity with some rock wool comfort board, and then that'll be sealed with spray foam. The inside insulation, the blown insulation will stay in place because no air is going to come from the inside through the eave vents and blow it around like so many do. I've seen actual builders just take these rafter mates and actually cut them in half and only have one section up in there, put the bat up in there, and that's it. Heck, you get a wind come through, it blows that bat out, and all of a sudden all your insulation up in this area is gone, and then you have your ice damming on the outside of your doggone roof. So, you know, these small things, so that's where the spray foam really comes into its own. It seals up the place. Once again, we have to put in the air exchange system anyway, and also it tightens up the house immensely, makes it quiet. That's a quick one there. So I'm hopefully spray foaming tomorrow. It's all set up for tomorrow, so I will make a video once this 2-pound spray foam is in, and give you an idea of what's up with that. So once again, I wanted to show you the reason why I did what I did. The hybrid wall system, super insulation, structurally very structurally sound, and cost effective when you take the whole 9 yards together. Yes, it might have taken a little more labor to build these outside walls. Material wise, I may have spent maybe 15% more on material, but at the end of the day, it'll be warm, it'll be quiet, no air infiltration whatsoever. I mean, even my window, where my windows come in here, it'll be sealed right up to the actual where I install my windows, and I just have to be able to put in my low expanding foam all the way around the windows, so everything will be nice and sealed. So, you know, you get any comments, questions, whatever, go ahead, put them up there. Right now I got a bunch of poly sitting up there. I'm trying to heat the place. It's getting late in the year, so it's not too bad. This weekend has been pretty good, so it's nice. It's pretty toasty and warm in here for what it is. And my next step after this will be to get my rest of my plumbing, get the rest of the plumbing on my venting done and get it pressure tested. And then I can get the poly, put it on the backs, on the bottom side here, and then put up my resilient channel in the ceiling so I can get ready to drywall. So once the resilient channel goes up, then I can blow in the rock wool insulation, 16, 18 inches or so. So I get we need R60 up there, up top. So I get at least R60 up there for insulation, and this place should be able to be lit with a candle. So anyway, my next step, of course, will be the plumbing and get the doggone windows in so I can finish off the framing inspection, because until I get the windows in, the framing inspection cannot be completed. The framing inspection was half completed, so I was allowed to spray foam this and then put my windows and doors in. So other than that, everyone have a great day. Keep a cool tool. And until we talk next time, have a good one. Bye for now.